Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles of Bust number 240, and today we're doing battle with Ahri. And so, we are playing another champion strength deck today. Just get used to it. This is going to be a fairly common thing this upcoming format throughout the next month until it likely gets an eventual nerf come around January. And I kind of mentioned in our previous video with the scouts that we're probably going to be exploring pretty much every faction's combination with the champion strength because it's just that strong and powerful in game ending. I'm really surprised that it wasn't showcased a little bit more at Worlds, and I'm a little bit surprised that What Am I was the only one to bring the triple champion strength lineup. But I think a lot of what we saw at Worlds is what you would kind of consider to be level one of the champion strength decks, right? To where you're just saying, okay, what is the absolute fastest and most powerful thing I can do with this card, right? If you put two Daring Poros on the board, that can just outright win the game on turn 5, right? If you have two 1/1s with the Elusive, your opponent probably can't block it. They get +4/+4 in Scout. That's 10 damage into 10 damage, and the game ends. And so that's kind of, piece number one we're looking to take advantage of with this deck is how do we get just a couple of elusives on the board? A very easy way to go about that is by playing Ionia. Now, that's not to say that this is the fastest or the strongest way to do it, right? We saw a lot of daring poros out there in the world, but this is a fairly strong and consistent way to go about it. Now, the kind of next question you have to ask is, well, how do we kind of combat this deck ourselves? In our previous video with the scouts, we did that with some interactivity, right? If you get to come in and remove your opponent's units from the board, they don't get to play nearly as big of champion strength. It's much better to play the champion strength onto 6 units than it is to play it on 2, right? And so that is, kind of piece number 2 to the deck is how do we look to kind of combat opposing champion strength, and here we get access to deny. And so deny is a very big game breaker. If your opponent looks to drop the champion strength and you counter it for 4, then good job. We probably just outright win that game. But it does have some other game in the current format. People are kind of figuring out, okay, well, how do I kind of, counterspell the opposing champion strength? Freylord gets to do it with Buried in the Ice. Shadow Isles gets to do it with Ruination. And we get to incidentally kind of counter both of the other level 2 strategies by playing Deny, since our Deny counters both the Ruination and Buried in the Ice. And so it's a pretty cool space for Deny to be living in right now. Has a lot of power in that sense. Piece number 3 to the kind of equation is what happens if you just don't draw the champion strength, right? That was the kind of downfall to What Am I in the World Championships was he was bringing the triple champion strength lineup, lost essentially every single game to where he didn't draw it. And so that is a very real and potential problem that you can run into. But Ionia helps with that question a little bit in and of its own, and that has a handful of card draw spells. We're bringing in the Dancing Droplets as piece number 1, just a little bit of incidental card draw, and then the Saiyan Thousand-Tailed is another way to come in and draw some cards. We aren't going super all in. We're not out here playing things like not Twin Disciplines, but whatever the Ionia draw 2 spells kind of card is. We aren't going that deep, but it is nice to have that little bit of cycle in your deck just to dig in a little bit deeper, make it a little bit easier to come in and find our big and high-powered cards. Last but not least, in terms of the mirror matches of sorts, we are playing Fleet Feather Tracker plus Young Witch as a ways to kind of interact with the early game. And so kind of back to that scouts idea as to where with scouts we're able to challenge down the opposing board. Having just the small interactivity package between the Fleet Feather Tracker and the Young Witch gives us a little bit of game in the early piece, and then the Young Witch, of course, has Elusive on her own, and so she can certainly fit the bill as one of those units that comes in and gives us the 2 elusives necessary to end off the game. The last thing I wanted to call out with this deck is we do see a lot of very mid-rangey style of elements to the format right now with so much Aatrox running around, and that's what makes me feel very nice about playing the Homecoming and Concussive Palm package. If your opponent plays Aatrox on turn 6 and you get to limit Aatrox's usage to the opponent gaining 2 health, it's just so super strong when you come in and get to blow him up with the Homecoming. everything. And so this is a reasonable place to be playing the Homecoming Concussive Palm package. And then also, speaking of Aatrox, Deny is a fantastic way to stop the World Ender. And so, pretty interesting and strong collection of cards here. The Champion Strength Deny, and along with all of the Elusives, should hopefully give us a bit of edge in the meta right now. Let's go ahead and jump into some games, see what we can do. Oh no, Mozilla crashed. That's not what anyone wants to see. But we are ready for battle. The pay-to-win price has been paid on this one. The only non-premium cards in the deck are currently Ahri and then the Saiyan Thousand-Tailed. And so the Epic's not quite there yet. Maybe we'll get a fresh Prismatic Chest off of the current event pass. But looking good otherwise. Ahri's okay. She's got the Winter Queen skin, whatever that thing was called. Get her ready for the holiday season. And here we go. This is a fun one. This is going to be one of the tougher matchups that we encounter throughout the day. If you're not familiar with Zig's Bandle City, this is going to be the Fearsome Acolyte deck. I don't remember what the actual name of the card is. It's the guy that comes in and blows up a landmark and gives all of his friends +1/+1. This is the kind of pirates of the format right now. One of the issues when you're out here playing these Ahri-based Elusives deck is they typically just get smoked by pirates. And that's one of the things that we're going to see here. This is going to be a matchup that is not particularly good for us. But we do still have a bit of game. We'll see what we can do. See if we can't get ahead of them with our Elusives. Maybe get a big blow up on turn 5 with a Champion Strength. Hey, there it goes. That can be all you need to come in and shore up victory out of nowhere. Pokesticks aren't that cool though, bro. We're trying to get our 2 Elusives on the board. You can't be pokesticking our friends. But I think that's good for us. If he's not presenting damage, if he's out here being reactive, if he's spending the 2 mana to protect his board and get cycle, then I'm completely fine with that. It's not that big of a deal. All right, I dig it. Now this is one of the kind of interesting things I found in my testing with this deck, is I initially brought this forth as an Ahri Kennen deck, and I thought that, the answer to the question of what if we don't draw our Champion Strength comes down, then we get to say, well, I'm still out here just playing a typical Ahri Kennen deck. I can look to do the typical bouncy kind of things, but the problem you run into with those is that they don't have both Ahri and Kennen don't have Elusive, and so they don't really play into this big game plan of what do we do in terms of getting our 2 Elusives on the board. And so it was a touch awkward in that sense, but I think everything's okay now. Took the Kennen out, and Ahri can technically get Elusive on her flip side, and then she does give us a bit of early game stuff to do. Alright, so I'm not really worried about this upcoming turn. Ahri does have a vulnerable attached to her. We could have looked to bounce Ahri with the Navori Conspirator, but I'm just not super worried about getting Ahri on the board. All that really matters here is that we get to end the turn with 2 spell mana banked up. And so I'm going to actually look to just drop in the Conspirator. It's going to recall the Dancing Droplet. If he wants to come in and trade for Ahri, congrats, good job. We're going to try and finish this game off next turn with the Mourned, the Dancing Droplet, and then the Champion Strength. Now, the Mourned does bring up a new piece, a new problem, a new thing that can cause issues, and that it recalls itself in the combat. And so that's why you do see us play cards in here like the Navori Blade Scout, just to give us a little bit more permanence in the Elusives on the board, since the Mourned only gets to hit in 1 time. Would we actually... The next thing we're going to have to worry about is if opponent has Rite of Negation. I don't think we're in a spot to really worry about it, but if we're wanting to play around the Rite of Negation, we could look to go for a Fleet Feather Tracker kind of play. I think this is fine. Let's just pass. He's 100% attacking here and 0% lethaling us on this attack. And so we'll see. If we go into the next turn and he's got a Rite of Negation, then it'll be a problem. But otherwise, we can ignore this damage. Interesting hook onto Ahri. You do so little damage this way. I was really surprised he didn't just hook her with the Inventive Chemist. But I'll take it. The Ziggs doesn't have Overwhelm, so he's not doing his job to the best of his abilities. All right, well, here's what the deck's all about. Champion Strength, we got 2 Elusives. If he has a removal for 1 dude, then we can still come through and get a win. Do you have to worry a little bit about something like Quicksand here as well, but if he's dropping Unraveled Earths, you have to feel pretty good about what's going on. Let's see if he picked up a Quicksand while he was at it. Take away the Scout and the Elusive, give him some blockers. He's doing stuff. Not quite sure what's going on with these, but all right. Seems like we've achieved victory. All right, good stuff. GG. Mark it a W for bust. But no, that is a not very good matchup. A lot of that sequencing felt good to me, right? Seeing the Pokey Stick come down on turn 2 kind of indicated that we were going to be getting a little bit more time. But that is a fairly poor matchup and a fairly explosive deck that we just do not interact with very well. Right, a lot of the combats we're looking to have happen are, we'll put a Dancing Droplet in front of Aatrox and recalling back, right? That's a pretty positive combat for our deck. But if the opponent just has a bunch of like 4/5 or 5/4 fearsomes on the board, can't really do anything about that. Can't get those free blocks in. All right, round number 2 against this thing. See how it goes. We got a couple of early plays, reasonable enough to hang on to these. Here's what we're really looking for in the start, though, is the Dancing Droplet kind of starts. Get us a little bit of that cycle going. I suspect this game is going to go much differently when we aren't coming out here with the immediate champion strength. So I'm going to go ahead and dig. We do have to worry again a little bit about cards like Pokey Stick, the Mourned, and everybody else is fairly susceptible to it, but the Conspirator can have a little bit of self-protection there. All right, level 5 vegan, off to the races. Interesting. If we can get a trade onto the Inventive Chemist, might buy us just a little bit more time. So it looks like, though, we're probably just dead on the next attack. Where's he gonna be, though? If we say get a block and only fall to 11, then we might be safe. He makes him have to have a second Acolyte, and if he does have an additional Acolyte, we do have a Homecoming to return one of these back to hand. And so we have some potential here to potentially only be falling to 1 health. Wuju style, interesting pickup as well. Lets us come in and block a Fearsome. Alright, so he's getting his Scrappy Bomb back. I suspect we'll see another Acolyte after this. He's out of... he has Pokey Stick mana here, but he's out of Quicksand mana, so we're going to put the bonus attack onto our Conspirator. So not horrible on this upcoming turn, right? Concussive Palm is fantastic. If he plays a dude, we can come in and Concussive Palm. That's what I'm going to look to do now. But before the Concussive Palm came in, we would have been able to Wuju style a Dancing Droplet, give it the bonus attack, put it in front of an Acolyte, and then homecoming another one back to his hand. That's a lot. That's a lot, my friend. See, you can see where I was trying to set this up, though, right? If he only gets in for 2 5-damage attackers, then we have a bit of opportunity in terms of surviving at 1. A little bit too much force here, though. I think our Saiyan Thousand-Tailed is probably going to be a little bit short, but we'll see what happens. He gives us a blocker and stuff. We still have this homecoming. Maybe something comes together. Dang, Endless Devout. I was going to say maybe we get to attack with the Saiyan, get some extra damage in or force a trade, but that's not going to be the case. That's not happening. I think we're dead here, fam. I think we're dead. Ooh, a second homecoming? Ah, we're a blocker short. Right? Yeah, we needed one more blocker, then we could have returned to 2. Dang. Okay. GG. The level 5 vegan takes us down. Says, no animal products today. Just beatdowns. Just beatdowns is all I got for you. But no, we'll be bringing that deck forth in a future video. I was considered doing it for this one, but it's like I'm really hooked on just kind of trying to push into Masters. I'd like to run into Masters over the next couple of days, and I couldn't bring myself to just play Scouts again. That's really where I'm at. That's the mindset I'm in right now. Is I just want to be out here playing Scouts, but I think that this is relevant and close enough. Now we get to go up against the Vayne Aatrox deck. It's a little bit more interactive than the Kayn version that's running around a lot, and so has some opportunities to come in and shut down some of our elusives in the early game. Fish fights are quite good at canceling our plans, and so we'll see. Lots of birds coming up. We really want a recall card, a Navori Conspirator, or an Ahri to go with this, but hasn't turned up. All right, birds on board. I could see an argument for just playing one of these because we're probably just like not attacking with the birds, and this is the spot. This is the reason why. Because if we draw a young witch or an Ahri or something, we still have the opportunity to play a Twin Disciplines if we leave that mana back, but we lose out on it in this way. You can't even attack with the other bird. It would be much nicer to have the Twin Disciplines. Thankfully, we didn't need it, but was a little sloppy. Ahri turns up. Good stuff. Let's see where he's at. If he passes and we just bank here, I don't think it's horrible. All right, let's see where the elusives land. All right. You can have a catch, right? Catch doesn't get the kill here, which is nice. And now I assume he's going to come back and rehook the young witch, but she got the job done. She did what she needed to do. I appreciate you getting the job done. We even bother with the Vayne at this point? Like, I don't think I particularly care about Vayne. Let's just try and get the challenger off of the board. probably just sending something back to hand this turn. I'd love to see him like get kind of invested in this board, right? If he tumbles here, it's not that big of a deal. We can just take 5 or whatever, but I would love to see him like play a unit and then put an equipment on it, and then us get to homecoming the whole package back. Oh. It's not going to be the whole package, I guess, but still a reasonable tempo play here onto the Knight Defector. Maybe we should have waited just a little bit to see if he's going to tumble on it, but I think this is okay. And Aatrox, he says, give me some of that concussive palm, please. That's what I've been needing. It's like, ah, Buster Tempo's so nice. It's so sweet. we do have to worry a little bit, though. He can't come in and tumble Aatrox, right? That's a little bit on the annoying side of things, but you know, it kind of is what it is.
By my hand, I will end their suffering.
All right, so he's going to be getting free tumbles now. All right, my dude. We have to get something going here, though. It's a little tough. We can flip our Ahri this turn, right? We have the Charm, we have the Recall, we can attack with the Mourn to the left, but I'm not quite certain that that's enough to get a kill. It's only gonna. We would need Ahri to hit across the whole board, and we don't have any way to boost her right now. So a little bit unfortunate in that sense. Don't really want to just be like bouncing concussive palms this turn, no. And then it's like, what is the realistic chance that we can get a hook into Vayne and have her not die, right? What kind of like trick could opponent end up having here? We're about to find out. There's the champion's strength. Maybe next turn, my friend. Maybe next turn. So what does he look to do here? I mean, I guess we could have stopped and thought about that first. It probably involves a tumble onto the Night Ranger so that he gets to get the scout attack, and then come in with the follow-up attacks with Aatrox. It's kind of where I would assume that would go.
Is it fear that stills your mind?
We're just gonna have to try and get into this next turn and play a champion strength. Surprised he did the unequip thing. Why don't you just take the regular strike? Interesting.
I go where the winds blow, for now.
So can we get kills with Ahri now? As soon as she gets a recall, she's gonna flip. This is fine. Only hitting for 9 though.
Face me.
The forest surrounds us.
All right, then we can replay all of our units after combat. Right? Oh, I got all these 0-cost friends in hand. Okay. See what happens. Catch onto Vayne. Oh, this is gonna be bad, isn't it? He's just gonna come in and re-attack on us. Oh, that was not good to recall all of the units. Little whoopsies. I didn't stop to think about that one. All right, GG. That's tough though. That's tough.
Back to the forest.
We drew the champion strength just a little bit too late. All right, next battle. That's probably what we should have looked to have done, though. I think we just got too greedy on that turn. Maybe we should have just limited ourselves to like an Ahri attack into the concussive palm and try to send the concussive palm back to our hand, and then look to win with the champion strength on the next turn, because we were gonna need to be like concussive palming that turn, right? I don't think there is any like real way around that. All right. We could look to mulligan like a little bit harder for a 1-drop, but I think it's okay. We should have some time against Kane Aatrox. They don't have nearly as much interactivity as the Vayne version. Like in the previous game when we're dealing with fish fights and Petricite Broadwings and stuff, this deck doesn't really come at you like that. This hand sucks, though. No, there's no denying that this hand is not good. Need a dude fast. All right, we got a bird though. Slightly awkward again with the mana. we can play the bird, but we can't give it challenger. And so I'm gonna look to see if we can't get a. Oh, we're just gonna pass. Okay, never mind. JK, not doing it. Not coming in. We can take the bank into our next turn and look to just champion strength on 5 now. That feels like it was a really good round for us.
Stay safe. I'll take it from here.
What is he even trying to slow play here? Does he just have another, like a handful of Canes and Aatroxes or something? Like, I don't get what's happening. He can boom us a little bit on the next turn, right? He can play a... Well, he hasn't even equipped an ally yet for the double flash freeze. I'm gonna say, but there are, a handful of cards he can add on this next turn to shut some of this down. God, what's going on, dude? Are you okay? Are you okay? Is your life going all right? Huh. All right. Well, I mean, this is what we're about. He says, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Problems. My 0 interactivity deck does not like what's about to happen.
Quietly now.
All right, he's got 1 unforgiving cold. Sure. Does he have another one? Doesn't matter. GG. All right, good stuff. Nice little turn 5. Feels good to drop him on turn 5, right? Just play... just play a couple of elusives and see how it goes. All right, well, we saw in the last game how good it can be to just hold on to the champion's strength. Get rid of everything else, though. Look for some cheap dudes, a little bit of early stuff. I hope Cutie Pie's doing well these days. I used to watch a lot of the Cutie Pie stream back like after I played League of Legends. Like I was aware of him because of the LCS and stuff, and I used to turn on a lot of that during work and turn the streams on, and then He just sits around and says so much incredible stuff that it was tough to get away from his stream even after I stopped playing League and stuff. You can imagine that as someone that would refer to their scriber base as the BDC, the Big Dick Club, that we can probably share fairly similar comedic viewpoints. I hope he's doing well. Seems like he survived the post LCS world pretty well. God, Vile Feast isn't awesome. You don't have a great board. Like, this is why I'm out here playing cards like Navori Blade Scout, just to try and make sure we have some early dudes that we can try and recall back. But losing him was a bit of a bummer. Now we're in this space. We can technically champion Strength on turn 5, but the Ahri isn't elusive enough to try and punch in that victory. We can technically do stuff here like recall as foyer, right? You can send landmarks back with a homecoming. Is that the kind of space that we're in, though? I mean, I think I just want to get more dudes on the board. How much are we taking this turn? He's Hallowed 1. So we're looking at 4, 5, 6. And we probably can't block the Spiderling if it attacks to the left. That would be like 8. Probably have to homecoming this turn.
Catch me if you can.
Alright, send him back. Really need a 1-drop, though. What is this? Oh, Glimpse from Beyond. Okay. I'm not upset about losing Ahri, but that... Oh, it did still pop off. Okay, I was going to say, but we probably should have blocked the Spiderling with that kind of thing in mind. What do we got? Droplet. Perfect.
If only she could see me.
There's always a way out.
All right, just gotta... Do we actually just stop here? Like, what is the chance that this next turn... We're only going to get to 12 off of this, though. Okay, never mind. As I say, we could look to go into the next turn and just champion Strength, but we'd be a point of damage short. Gotcha. We will need to be playing it on our next attack token, though. We're getting kind of deep into the game here against Gwen, and so we need to shut this down. He probably needs a Katarina right about now. Vigio. Been a while since we've seen you, friend. We just... I guess we can, like, risk just dying to Atrocity. So we have, like, a couple of options. Mainly, do we feel safe enough playing the Saiyan Thousand-Tailed? Because then we can come in and block the Spiderling and the Ghastly Band. We can still give up 1 unit to Gwen. I mean, otherwise, we just don't have blockers for Viego. We can block this other stuff, but we fall to... Let's see, if we take the Viego hit, block everything else, that takes us to 7. I mean, that's probably okay. We're just blocking stuff. We want to play Ahri, right?
Wild hearts should run free.
Her combat does not matter next turn. She is actually just the worse than Young Witch next turn.
The chase is on.
So that would take us to 2. Then the only thing we would have to worry about, this deck doesn't usually play Atrocity. He's out of Harrowing Land. It could be a problem if he has that free attack unit, but preventing 2 damage here is not going to do anything. Oof. Well, I guess it does in the sense that I was just thinking that of the unit in the terms of dealing with Viego, but he can look to just get a free snip snap out of Gwyn now. So it's like if we open with the champion strength, no, we should still have the time. That's okay. All right, let's let this party begin. Y'all think we got it? Are we doing it here? Maybe. We are faster than that free attack unit, right? He can't block our dudes, then he has to wait around to get it going. That's a painful one. Gives him a little bit of time. I don't feel like that's the way to go. I don't think the Chimaeran soldier's the path to victory. Oh, Noxus Blast. Okay, he would have had it anyways. Jeez. GG. Whew, tough. So we could have... It would have been close. We could have blocked that 2-cost unit, but then we might not have had enough dudes to get the victory there in combat. The other thing, we probably shouldn't have played Young Witch. We probably should have played the Dancing Droplet, so that if we pick up another 1-cost Elusive unit on the next turn, we would have had an extra dude on the board. So that was definitely not awesome playing the Young Witch. I was thinking of the Young Witch as when you see your opponent at 14 and you know that you're about to attack with a bunch of 6/6s, then being able to give one of your 6s 7 attack and potentially get in for those extra points of damage was a spot that we could have done a little bit more with. I feel like this matchup's so bad we just have to hard mulligan for the champion's strength. It feels really odd giving up on some of these 1-drops here, but we really struggle against this thing. We're just like a beat slower than it, and we don't interact with anything that it does. So sometimes you just mulligan into Droplet Ahri, though, which is which is pretty cool. No complaints here. All right, we're never interacting with this Acolyte on the first turn. We have the Twin Disciplines in hand, and we can get in front of it, but I think that when we have a Concussive Palm, we're going to look to see if we can't do something a couple of turns from now. There's also the space that we can give like take down like a larger version of this later. So if we either have to take 3 from it here or 5 from it next turn, we can get in front of the 5 a turn from now and have a little bit better shot. But now that this is rolling on, I don't think we want to drop any more Blade Scouts. I'm really considering if we want to return the current one we have. I don't think we do. I think we just need to draw cards off of Ahri, but I could definitely see an argument for returning this one to make sure we have an additional elusive next round. All right, let's see if he opens on us. That's the big chore here. If he doesn't open and we get to play Concussive Palm, it's a pretty big deal. Oh, right. So we're going to be short of lethal on this upcoming turn. Right, we can't play Saiyan Thousand Tailed to just pick up a bunch of damage, but we might be able to do something on the following turn. And now an interesting draw with the Fleet Feather Tracker. We have like a small opening to be able to take down both of these Ruinous Acolytes. So let's see. Let's see what we can do. I don't think he can come in for more Acolytes now. He's going to have to wait a turn.
I know a way.
Right, this buys us a ton of time if he can't hit with 2. Right, he's got 1 in hand at the moment, but that might be enough. If we can get the Saiyan Thousand Tailed in front of some of these guys. Ooh, a champion strength. Where are we at? That's a lethal acolyte. We have to say in F. Ooh, I'm not seeing the 10 damage on this next turn. Oh my gosh, he's got another one? We could got it. I guess he has the other one in hand. We should have seen it. He's just been letting this one hang out and let us know, but another spot to where just 1 short, if we could have prevented, like we're just taking 10. It's us so close. All right. How do we do this one? Don't think we got it. Okay, GG. I'm not sure what the answer is to this deck. It's another one that I was having trouble with scouts as well. This is something that should just traditionally be a horrible matchup for scouts, given that they're just putting a ton of stats on the board. That's what scouts doesn't typically handle too well. But it's like when you're up against something like pirates, you have the opportunity to at least like come in and throw down some blocks and get in front of it a little bit. It's just we don't have that opportunity here because everything has fearsome, and so not sure. Like even outside of the decks that we've been playing, I'm not sure what you would look to take to try and combat that deck. Like you're not wanting to play like silences, right? That sounds terrible. All right, though, up against another familiar champion strength deck. We'll hang on to the one we have. We got a bird, but there's not a lot of good targets for it. I was hoping that we could pick up Young Witch, which we just came in and found. I don't have a lot of confidence that we'll be able to get a Fleet Feather Tracker Young Witch play happening on turn 2. They have a bunch of Mystic Shots and stuff in their deck, but we'll give it a shot. We'll give it a go. Just having some of these opportunities to get their dudes off of the board quite strong. All the birds today. I could see an argument for playing the bird instead of the Mourned, right? If he comes in with the Flame Chompers for whatever reason, we get a free hook into the Chompers. Maybe that's the way we should have gone. It definitely feels worse to just leave the leave it away. And now if he has, say, like the Mystic Shot onto a tracker, we don't get the free shots in anymore. I don't like this Mourned. Sloppy, I tell you. Interesting. He's about to pull something out of his bag of tricks. I guess you can't, if you're going to Mystic Shot, you can wait till the combat starts so you don't take the extra damage from the Mourned, but a little surprising. Get excited. Where are you at? You're still on the stack. I wanted to see what he discarded. I missed it. Jury rig. Okay. Then we can't lethal on this next turn, right? We can drop the turn 5 champion strength, but we have unfortunately have the Mourned in hand, and it's not capable of getting 2 strikes in. Well, we might be close enough, right? If we have 16? 16's enough.
Hide for a moment, run forever.
All right, he's gonna have another dude, right? He's gonna play the Flame Chompers and get a hook in with the Broadwing. Kind of is what it is. We can get a takedown with Wuju style. Ooh, man, we just should not have played this bird again, right? We've been sloppy in these. No, this is only plus 2 health. Never mind. Is it? Yeah, it's only 2 health with the meditate. Could have taken down this Scrap Scuttler, though. I would think that with him attacking with the Scuttler, he probably just doesn't have the champion strength yet, right? You wouldn't just be like offering up units to throw away if you had it in hand.
Just you and me, Fishbones. And them.
I live for those who do not.
All right, we'll send the Jinx back just to make a touch of a tempo play, and then we'll see if we get to build into the champion strength. If we pick up another cheap unit, then we'll probably look to the champion strength. If we don't find one, we're going to be kind of stuck here. Yeah, this is not good. Not good. Just getting savaged back and forth. So we can
Another arrow.
fall to 12. Then he hooks in the Saiyan and we go to 11. Alright. I guess we're not dead. But this is why it's very strange to me that he threw an attack in with the Scrap Scuttler on the previous turn, right? If he's just giving us the opportunity to take that unit off of the board when he actually has the champion strength in hand, that's so strange to me. And so that's why I kind of took the angle we did this game. I wasn't expecting him to be able to actually throw it down. I didn't see where it came from out of his hand if he just top decked it on the last turn of the game, but that was definitely very strange to me.
Rules are made to be broken, like buildings or people.
Let's take it this way. If we get a trade on a unit here, like if we get a takedown from the Saiyan, then we can still survive in on this next turn. We have the homecoming as it is. He's probably open attacking, but it gives us a shot. Give him the chance to do something dumb, am I right? Well, he's given us the chance, but he unfortunately picked up a Navori Conspirator. Deny, you're not going to cut it. We needed you last turn. It's a bit of a bummer to... Oh, fam. It's a bit of a bummer to draw them immediately after they play the one that matters. We might have gotten ourselves out of this, though.
Not at all.
Oh. Nope. What happened? Oh, he's okay. That's what I missed. He's getting that hook in with the Flame Chompers. F.
You like magic?
All right. Damn, that's unfortunate. Feel like that game was. I guess we can't we can't talk about our opponent's mastercraft when we threw a lot of those opportunities away with our birds in the early game. But rough, rough. On to the final battle, though. See what turns up. See what we can hit. See if it's that Ziggs deck again. Is not. Gwen Zed. Let's do it. All right. I mean, we at least got some stuff to do in the early game. And still, I'm not like... this is a tough spot for me in terms of, like, should we just come out and be hard mulliganing for the champion strength? It's just such like a strong card with this deck, and it feels like a bit of a necessity to win. But the kind of like other angle that you can do with some of these decks is like if you just have a ton of early game in your deck anyways, then you can kind of come in and not worry about it as much, given that your mulligans should be coming into cheap cards. So have to think about that as we craft some more of these as we make our way into the Noxen the Noxen version of champion strength.
Off we go! Roll down!
There's just no reason to hook in the ghastly band, right? It doesn't achieve anything for us. Let's get the extra point of damage in.
This is a chance for me to leave my mark.
Do we care about the Gwen just yet? That feels a little greedy. I think we can choose to not care for the moment. We can block her and recall back the Dancing Droplet, and then on the next turn we can look to Wuju style this bird and maybe get a takedown on her. I don't want our whole world to get blown up because opponent has a Vile Feast, right? That does not feel particularly awesome. All right, looking decent now, though.
Come on, Rib! Speedy scoop!
Commit. Attack made. Sure. That's expensive. Maybe we just go ahead and take care of the Gwen now. He doesn't have the mana to replay her this turn. It's just such a huge tempo swing seeing the Vengeance come in. All right, all right. We're getting lined up to victory without having to use the without having to use the champion strength. That's what I was kind of leaning towards with things like the Saiyan Thousand-Tailed, and then being able to
So immense the soul.
play in some of this game plan without without necessarily drawing our big trump card. Okay.
What a joy!
That is quite a bit of damage. Where do we stand next turn? If we hit with like 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 off of the Saiyan, we're probably not going to get to lethal. So we need to do a little bit of board control here. It's going to take us a couple turns to come around to it. Okay. At least the big kind of safety net for us in this game is he's not playing he's not playing Katarina, and so we don't have to worry about like the big recursive attacks coming at us. Definitely feel a little bit safer against this stuff. What do you think the hot rain is? Is that a pee joke? Are we getting some toilet humor out of this one? Whoa, the black flame. Not expect that thing coming in. I like what you're about, my dude. Unexpected. I like it. Can't attack with it. It does not seem like a a strong play at the current moment. With opponent not having a board and facing down everything that we have. Okay, okay. I see what you're about. I see what you're about. So where do we stand in terms of lethal? We got 3, 6, 7, 8. Hook out that thing. 9, 10, 13. We're just short. Ah, it's brutal. Right? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. Sure, he even gets to gain on the Gwen thing. We're going to end up denying one of these snips, aren't we? That's what's going to save us on the upcoming turns. Uh-oh. And he gets to keep his Gwen? Oof. Friend. I like what you're about. I don't like having to deal with it, but that's some nice thunder that you're bringing at us. All right, can we survive the turn with a deny? That's the big question of the day, the question of the moment. What is this going to bring back? Gwen? Okay. As long as he's not getting blade dances, I think I'm kind of okay with the situation.
Coming at ya.
Alright, so we have to block the Gwens, right? We should probably find ourselves just blocking everything, but we don't have to. We have a recall for a droplet. That's happening somewhere. We'll call that one our droplet recall.
Why, hello there. You like frogs, huh?
We look to fall to 3. He's just gonna have a ribbon dancer in hand, isn't he? that's the way life goes. I'm looking at the young witch as the most damage, but we're gonna have to get this conspirator on board. I think we got to come over like this. Then we can twin disciplines and protect the droplet. Then we can play a conspirator. Have another droplet the next turn. You flipped, Ahri? Okay. Giving us a shot. Giving us a shot.
Looking for a daring escape?
He's just gonna drop a 2-mana blade dance, isn't he? He doesn't have it just yet? Okay. Okay. Come on, deck. I believe in us. We're still just so short on everything. We have to play all... We just can't deny this game, right? If we want to get the big Ahri swing in for 15, then we need either 5 units on the board, or we need to get her up to 4 attack, and we can hit for 16 there. And so that's going to be with the Saiyan. Just needing to not have anything. Well, that happened. That happened, I guess. Get the deny chain going. We're not just dead next turn though, at least to an open attack. We got the concussive palm now to shut it down. The Gwen would only deal 2 damage as well. Off of the snip, she's not flipped. Oh, there's 2 of them though? It never ends. It never ends, does it?
Don't want any trouble.
All right, to 1. Come on, deck. We're digging to the best of our abilities, the best we can do. Oh, he's got something too. F. He's got all the things. All right, GG, my dude. So that was tough. That was a rough set of games. I was expecting a little bit better out of this deck. Now I knew that the matchup against the matchup against the Fearsomes deck was going to be problematic. I wasn't quite expecting it to be a third of our games, but I think that's gonna climb and be more of a burden on the format than the champion's strength is. As strange as it may sound, as strange as it may sound, I think that's probably what's going to come forward. I just can't really envision what you're supposed to be doing to combat that deck with the fearsomes. Like silences make sense, right? If you get to silence away all of the stats, but there's no like really good silences in the format, and then you kind of like run yourself into the spot of it not being good against the other decks. And so it is kind of a space to where cards like silence and suppress, the 1 mana destroy an equipment kind of thing, or silence a unit, starts to sound a little bit more interesting. Like I'd actually started to consider playing that in scouts instead of playing heavy metal, but it just seems like such a strange addition to have to kind of bring to the world just to combat that deck. I guess it's going to have to see what happens with it and how popular it gets, but it's definitely a burden, and I'm not entirely certain how to deal with that one. But in terms of the rest of the meta, like I like the idea of this style of deck. I wasn't particularly happy with Ahri, and this is maybe it's just too all in at this point, right? Because one of the kind of like historical like concepts, one of the really game theory given approaches to the game is, and kind of like leading into why control decks aren't good at the beginning of the season and why I typically don't like them in general, all gets summed up by deny, right? We had that game against the guy playing the champion strength deck. He plays the champion strength on turn 5. We don't have the deny, and then we draw the deny on turn 6. And they're always really preferring to be presenting the questions as opposed to coming up with the answer. And that's why aggro decks always have a shot. If you're just presenting the questions of your early game aggro threats, you don't have to worry about, oh man, I drew my removal spells in the wrong order, or I drew the expensive spells before the cheap spells, or I drew the life gain when I was at full health. If you're just playing cheap units and attacking with them, you can't really draw them at the wrong point of the game. And that's where we kind of run into playing reactionary measures against a card like Champion Strength, right? We've talked about Deny, we've talked about Buried in the Ice, we've talked about the Ruination. There's a handful of ways out there to try and get a full counterspell onto a Champion Strength, but ideally, you would be the one just playing the Champion Strength. And so that's why I feel at least like okay and decent with it here in the Ionia shell, since we're playing Champion Strength on our own, and then we also have a bit of the counter magic to it. But it is, one of the problems and downsides to playing a card like Deny is it's most certainly an answer and not a question, and you can draw it at the wrong point of the game. But otherwise, with this style of deck, it's tough, right? You can definitely see where the raw power comes in and having the elusives and the champion strength, but this deck is a bit fragile, and it's not nearly as strong in those games to where you don't draw it. And so I feel like this deck on its own... fucking A. Cat. I feel like this deck on its own fits into a weird space, right? I think that the Daring Poro version with Jinx is both faster, right? And it has access to Jinx, which is a secondary win condition, which if you want to say, look at a card like Ahri, we aren't quite getting that out of her. And I think it's, probably just the best all-in deck probably is the version just playing Jinx. And then on the flip side, I really like Scouts in the sense that it's a very capable deck in those games to where you don't draw the champion strength, right? In my opinion, the Jinx deck is pure garbage if it doesn't draw the champion strength. You know, it does have a bit of edge in that Jinx is quite strong, but it doesn't really match anywhere near to the power level that you get out of Scouts. To whereas those games when you don't draw the champion strength. And so I'm curious if the answer here isn't maybe actually just getting rid of the denies and looking to play more of the card draw spells, right? And then just saying, well, I'm going to be the most effective deck at drawing champion strength as opposed to trying to play the reactionary style. I think that could be a kind of interesting way to look at it. Also, probably cool with just not playing Ahri. And so, if you're not going to play Ahri, you have to ask yourselves, like, what are you actually in Ionia for? And I think that's probably Elusives, Denies, like Homecomings, all that stuff's fine. You can probably just cut Ahri for an additional Navori Blade Scout or something. But I think that definitely lands you in the space of ride or die with champion strength. If you don't have the strength or if your opponent has the counter for it, then you've probably lost the game. And so it feels like you're going into some odd kind of deck building decisions there. But nonetheless, I think it's an interesting concept. It probably needs a little bit more refining, but I think a lot of the concepts here are good and strong, especially as the champion strength becomes more well known coming out of the world's meta. But nonetheless, I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.